Welcome to channel where we make your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Karl, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now it's a crazy week, isn't it? Well, start from Western Australia. Well, Western Australia actually initiated last Friday, and then Monday the Premier of Western Australia came out and complained to the federal government in regards to the cuts of the state nomination by 70%. Now 2 days later we learned that not just Western Australia got cuts, every state and territory got cut by 70%. Now I'm going to discuss with numbers of news article came out right after that. Well, it doesn't directly talk about the cuts, but for the state nomination, and we'll also go into the state of New South Wales and Queensland and have a look and we'll a little chat about what's gonna happen and how I will predict what will actually happen. Anyway, let's jump into SBS News. Now you may be able to find this one by Google them. It's basically an expert saying migration key to Australia growth of population ages, and there is an introduction of what's called the intergeneration report. Now this is done periodically, and I've read the whole I don't know how many pages, about 100 pages, and talks about how the aging population post-pandemic and how the population of Australia has accelerated but a little bit more than what was planned. So it's basically talking about the need of migration rather than accuse how migration has actually caused the issue. Again, it's echoing what previously my channel has actually reported by the Business Council of Australia. Obviously, there's a two side of voices, despite there's a referendum coming up for the voice, that's for the Aborigines and the Torres Strait Islanders, but there's also there has been always a two side of voices. One is saying we don't need that many migrants, the other one says yeah, well, we need more migrants. So what is the one that that you actually prefer? Obviously the viewer in your of my channel will actually prefer a bigger and better and more migrants policies. Now from a perspective of the business, and a lot of, if you're looking at globally, more migrants is definitely a requirement there, because the aging population is not because there's too many aged people, it's people, humans are living longer. So obviously people with overaged or retirees is gonna be become more and more, and obviously that costs not issue, but for a country to actually maintain those aging populations, there's going to be more medical nurses and healthcare specialists, doctors required. That's for sure, and that's for all the developed countries. That's 100%. Okay, and obviously we got a challenge of the climate change, also technology challenges coming up, and that also requires skilled migrants. Now a lot of people may say, well, we got those people in Australia. Well, first of all, it's just not enough. If you're looking at the hydrogen plan, if you're looking at the critical mineral plan, it's no longer the old way where there is a large mineral corporations going in and just dig the coal, dig the iron, dig whatever the mineral out of the ground and then shipped it out. It requires further process because of the net zero emission requirement internationally that's coming up by 2025. There's a lot of things coming up, for example the quantum technology. Now all these things require expertise source offshore, not unsure. I'm not saying Australia doesn't have those professional skill people, but just not enough. Not enough. If you're looking at the size of the continent versus the population, and Australia cannot longer just rely on primary production as well. So a lot of these things add up. Certainly, migration plan is the way to actually help it out. So you may have a little read. I'm not gonna go through the detail of this news. There's also news on the financial review. We will come back to the New South Wales page on the financial review here. If you can see there, and the title reads. If you look at right up there, it says why Australia needs millions more people, and it's getting here fast. Well, it is getting here fast because the global situation. If you look at what's happening in Europe, what's happening in Asia, and what's happening in North America, the preferences of people wanting to migrate to Australia as a peaceful nation obviously is increasing. And it's also the brand, the Australian image and its brand has been internationally, how do I say this, reflected quite nicely. So people would like to come to Australia more. There's more tourists, and there's more international students coming to Australia to study as well. So definitely people, once they arrive in Australia, they love the place, they want to stay, and they want to migrate. So there's a financial reviews media report here as well. You may want to take a deep read. It is a very long reading. It's basically talking about the two sides of the politics, and how one side prefer bigger Australia and the other side prefer not, and using, for example, the coalitions using the the housing crisis and things to talk about, and it also picked out how Springfield is an area in Queensland where it has successfully it's a private built city, and has been very successful as an example how Australia could actually expand its region, not just centralize in one. Or obviously, they talked about railway as well, rail line. So in my channel, I've talked about how high-speed rail should really be established and built between the three major cities, so regions between those cities could actually be developed much easier. There's both sides of the most of the politics doesn't want to pick the phrases of a big Australia, but look, it's definitely gonna be big Australia. I mean, no country in this world would actually survive by decrease of a population, and an aging population. A bigger Australia is definitely a way to go, but when it goes to politics, goes to the poll, elections, obviously migrants do not have a vote. So that causes a lot of issue as well. Now, it's a long read. That's why I couldn't be bothered to magnify this page to actually go through detail there. But it's talking about how the current population of 25.8 million will grow to 38.8, or perhaps just round it up 40 million by 2060. So and that's the fact, and how Australia should really prepare itself towards that. Well, everybody will have their own say. But anyway, apart from all this, I think most of the viewer is interested about what's happening in the state nomination. Why did the federal government cut them out? Now, let's have a look. This is the New South Wales website, published on the 24th of August, which is about 2 days ago. And I have no words and no comment on this website and on this page, on this news. Why? Because it basically said nothing. Rather than how I have shown you guys the email I received from South Australia, Tasmania, and which one, another one, ACT. Now, all right, let's have a little read. New South Wales Business and Skill Migration Program 2023 and 24. So 2 days ago, this is update provide essential insight. Wow, great. No, let's have a look at the insight. Now, our common goal, all right, align with the Australian government. Our goal is straightforward. We're using nomination, address the skill shortage, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's pretty obvious. Now, the exciting part, the 2023 and 24 allocation information on the home, how the state and territory allocate is being distributed for 2023 and 24 had been published on the Home Affairs website. Wow. Okay, so where do we go? All right, so if we click on the Home Affairs website, you scroll down, it doesn't does it tell us the most updated information for the states? Here we go. Okay, so that's the, well, let me magnify that. Definitely the way to go. Okay, so that aligns of what we have talked about, and let me move that over a bit. Okay, 2 days ago. So ACT 600, and New South Wales got 2,650 and 1,500 for 491. Northern Territory, well, that's very poorly. There's a little bit, and Queensland have 900 for 190, 650 for 491. South Australia has 1,100 for 190 and 1,200 for 491. So South Australia actually has more allocation than Queensland. That's amazing. Okay, and we know about Tasmania. We know about Western Australia. Western Australia actually got more than Queensland as well. Well, incredible. So that's so far. That's 10,300 and 6,400 compared to what it was given right up here. Look at this, 30,000 and 32,000, and if we compare to this, holy. Well, what do I say? Oh, anyway, let's just continue and see what's happening. So the permanent migration program is only component of net migration, blah blah blah. So I'm not gonna bother to read all that, but this is what's the big news of the week. So Queensland does publish that as well. There's an announcement there, and if we look further, hold on a second, where do we go on this one? Okay, there's another article inside of here. Now it's very tiny. Well, you can Google this and find it, but I wanted to show you what it actually says here. It says, look, I'm sorry. Basically, the state government Queensland said, I'm sorry. The federal government has just, well, cut everybody by 70%. So what it says here, the pathway could be an option. So the pathway is saying all the other pathways you may prefer to have a look at other things. So in addition to other criteria, this pathway could be an option of those work, healthcare, tech, blah blah blah. And it talks about you may consider a global talent visa or employment sponsor visa, or perhaps just hold graduate visa there. So it doesn't really provide much information. Now, if you cannot even meet the state nomination general migration program, how do you get to global talent? I don't know how who actually drafted that statement for the Queensland state government. But anyway, now, so we have learned that the federal government basically cut 70% out of all the state nomination, and provided most of the state and territories has not changed, or some of it amend a little bit, has not changed much about their nomination criteria. What does that tell us? That basically tell us that it's because the new point test system is not out yet. Okay, so they don't want a flood. Obviously, one thing is there is still a queue. A bunch of people that are still waiting for their 491 and 190. That's one thing. And secondly, obviously, in the management point of view, they obviously don't want a flood of nomination again, and under the old policy, under the old point test system. Well, that's for sure. So we know that from the migration report review, there is going to be a new point test system going to be out, and there's going to be a new employment sponsorship program out as well. And that, now those two things has not happened, and that is why there's still a 408 COVID visa, COVID stream out there to actually just to be there until the new employment sponsorship program is out as well. So the trend, I believe it will still be there. There has been what we have experienced in the past month is the slowing down of visa grants. I think most of people actually experience that. And I receive a lot of question and query, what's happening? Well, my response is there's just nothing happened. I mean, we were also waiting as well. I suspect there will be a lot of things will be out very, very soon, as I have predicted by September and October. The new policy will be, and that is why they have restricted down to about 30% to allow those state and territory to continue on of their state and nominations. So what do we expect, and what should you prepare? I mean, if you are interested about a state nomination with the current system, might as well put the EOI in for the current criteria, whichever the state or territory that you prefer with, and also get ready for the new 189 point test system and also the employment sponsor visa. Anyways, you have a question, query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.